Hi guys, today let's talk about edging. This question is often asked in some comments, so I decided to make a video on this topic. I'll tell you personally what I think about it. So what does this involve? In a nutshell, this is when one holds back ejaculation during sexual intercourse to prolong the sexual orgasm and not to lose semen. Essentially, the concept of edging contradicts the practice of semen retention, because semen retention is practiced to achieve inner spiritual power, transcending inner bodily urges. It's done to transform the material consciousness, which depends on instincts, into spiritual consciousness that transcends our inner instincts. In material consciousness, to feel inner comfort, you rely on the external world, particularly on the presence and quality of resources available to you at that moment. Material consciousness always contains duality: pleasant, unpleasant, hot, cold, light, dark, pleasure, pain, and so on. Therefore, material consciousness is always focused on the positive phases of this duality, aiming to attain pleasures and reject displeasures. Since material energy phases are always changing, emotional shifts occur. When things are going well, you rejoice, and when they are not, you feel sad. Usually, joy is followed by sadness, because sadness is the negative phase of joy. They are the same energy, just different sides of it. When you are greatly pleased by something or are deriving pleasure, you try to stay in that phase for as long as possible, but after joy always comes a fallback that can even lead to depression. It's all about hormone games, dopamine swings. In spiritual consciousness, everything is stable. You neither rejoice nor feel sad because you understand the duality of material nature. Spiritual pleasure is stable and independent of external factors. Sexual energy is the most powerful factor influencing our emotions. Therefore, to achieve internal stability, we practice semen retention. This practice is aimed at not being dependent on external factors influencing our emotions. To achieve this, one must eliminate all sexually stimulating objects from the mind. When your mind becomes free from sexual desire, inner vision opens up, and you become capable of feeling the God that resides within you. Sex pulls the energy of your consciousness outward, towards external activities to create, build, and procreate. Spiritual energy is directed inwardly towards contemplation, understanding your spiritual path, your spiritual nature. Because, guys, we never die, only our physical body dies. We are eternal, timeless consciousness, the spiritual atom, Atman. We transition from one state to another, much like how night changes to day. This can be observed in numerous cases, where during clinical death, when a person's brain is inactive, while oscilloscope shows a flat line, individuals have had out-of-body experiences, realizing their existence beyond the body. Consciousness continues to exist after the death of the body. It's not restricted by the body. This is evident today. When you realize yourself as eternal consciousness, eternal energy, you become transcendent to material energy and its urges. Your consciousness switches from material energy, primarily driven by sexual orgasm, to spiritual energy, free from its influence. Sexual orgasm is like a hook through which the matrix tightly grasps you, making you spend your valuable limited time and energy allotted in this life on activities and pleasure-seeking, with sex being the primary one. Hence, sex is needed only when our consciousness is material, when we are within the matrix of material energy. Your body needs sex when you identify yourself as a body, but when you recognize yourself as an immortal spirit, sex holds no power over you. Attachment to sex determines the level of spirituality in your consciousness. So, if you realize yourself as a spirit, then why do you need sex? It's that simple, guys. However, you can't completely give it up right now. So you're moving in that direction. And the beginning of this is the practice of semen retention. Now, let's understand what edging is. Edging involves prolonging the material sexual orgasm and attempting to retain semen during it. The very motivation to retain semen to extend the material sexual orgasm has nothing to do with spirituality, and the idea overall is quite dubious. It's something like trying to deceive God. God has given you a sexual orgasm to stimulate you to procreate. You just try to derive the pleasure and neglect the task what is meant for. In the same way, you may purchase a car on a credit and avoid paying for it. You're such a clever guy, and suddenly bailiffs will come, and you will say to them, I'm not gonna pay because I'm on money retention. Something tells me there will be problems for you. In the same way, if you break the rules of God, the rules of nature, you'll be punished in this way or other. So it works like that in nature. All those attempts to experiment with your organism lead to mental disorders. So, interesting point is, how can you preserve semen if you are constantly thinking about sexual orgasm? The semen will be lost. Even if you manage to consciously retain it, it will be lost during sleep. In my opinion, all this is a shameful practice. It represents a vector moving in the opposite direction towards developing vaginal dependence, a path going deeper into the matrix. This is not a spiritual path, not the path of realizing one's spiritual nature, but the path of developing the body's lower needs, lower demands of the body. So, when your consciousness is rooted in a bodily concept of life, it's like your consciousness is fixed and anchored in a material concept of life. I am this body, I am this, I am that, I am Hindu, I am American, I am Russian, all that stuff. And if I am a body, then I need a woman because I need to mate. This is all part of the material program of the matrix. It's not about raising consciousness to the higher chakras, but instead about developing the lower chakras that govern animal instincts in our body. It encompasses various forms of sexual deviations, when you no longer find satisfaction in sexual orgasm and try to squeeze out every drop, prolonging the dopamine rush. So, but behind every rush, there is always a fallback. It's emotional swings, joy and pain replacing each other. So, then there is the idea of pumping up the sexual energy. It's all just playing with words. If you want to evolve and transform your consciousness by sublimating sexual energy into spiritual energy, there is no need for so-called pumping up the sexual energy. That's all kinda self-delusion. All that's required is abstaining from sexual energy and redirecting this energy to a different channel towards developing spiritual knowledge and evolving as a person free from material addictions. Either you control the urges of your body, or the body's urges control you. Therefore, all these harmful practices aimed at enhancing sexual dependency and destroying you as an individual. So be careful, not every exotic practice is helpful. So guys, I explained this practice from the spiritual point of view. There are also plenty of videos where it is explained from scientific point of view. So that's it guys. This is my short message for today. Write in the comments what you think about that. Thank you for watching. Take care. Thank God. Bye.